and welcome to another DiceTillDawn review. And today I'm looking at one of my favorite games of all time and just nominated it as my favorite game of last year, and that's the Voyages of Marco Polo. And by Daniele, Tascini and Simone Luciani. As I've said, these are becoming my favorite designers, and they've done Tolkien, the Mayan calendar, which I absolutely love also, and this was just a hoot to play. And it's basically a worker placement Euro style of game, which is medium heavy, I guess. It feels very heavy, but it's not too much, but it's very tight, so you really have to do well, I guess. Think if you want to do well, I guess. But it's still quick. Our two-player games usually last only 45-50 minutes or so, and it's weird because it feels like you've played a long game. But it's published by Z-Man Games and should be available. I think it was out of print for a while, but I think the new reprint is coming. I'm not sure when, but I managed to get my copy before they ran out. Anyway, let's look at how the game plays and then come back for my final thoughts. Okay, welcome to Voyages of Marco Polo. I will do this by hand because there's so much to cover, but I'm not going to tell you all of the rules and every aspect, but I will quickly show you how the game works in general. So here is the game board. As you can see, there's the Silk Road and a lot of these cities which have a bonus for the one person who enters there first or puts their outpost first, and an ability that anyone can use if they control the city. And multiple people can be in the city. And then there's these roads which have costs, for example 7 more gold to travel between this and 3 camels to travel between this. And there are quite a few of these. And then there's Beijing, which has the first person to get their outpost here gets 10 points, and then it also allows you to trade goods for points in the end. And all these things. And then there's the victory point track along the edge, and you usually start in Venezia with your one pawn that can move on the board. And down at the bottom there's basically all the worker placement spots. So here you can travel, you have to use 2 dice and you move up to the number that is the lower die. So for example, let's say I had a 2 and a 3, you would be able to travel up to 2 spaces, which would cost you 7 money. But you could also only move 1. Okay, down here you can get more of these contracts, and you can always take 1 or 2, and only again you put 1 die here, and you can now take cards from up to the number 3, so from these 3 spots. And the contracts are very easy. In the left it means it just tells you what you need, so camels, gold and silk, and if you turn those in you get 7 money and 9 victory points, and so on. They are pretty basic. So, and down here is the bazaar where you can get all these goods, but you need a lot of dice. So for example, for the gold one you need 3 dice, and again you only get the lowest amount, so you would get 2 gold. And so on, 2 dice here, 1 and 1. And then there's the Khan's favor. Again, you put dice here, but you always have to match or put a higher die next. And again, you can't actually use your color in any of these spaces twice. So you would have to maybe get the white or black die from the supply to actually be able to use this twice during a turn. Then there's the take 5 gold action. So if you go here, doesn't matter what number your die is, you get 5 gold. And down here is the get 3 gold, but you can do this as a bonus action without actually using an action, and it's free. And then, of course, when you control a city, for example Alexandria, if I had my outpost here, I would now be able to place a die here and now I could up to 2 times use 2 money to get 1 of the resource I want. And they vary a lot, the different cities. So for example, here you could turn camels into victory points up to 6 times with a 6 die and stuff like that. And as I might have mentioned, there's the first arrival bonus. So for example, the first guy to come here and place their outpost would get a black die to use for that turn. Sorry, I didn't actually get the black dice here. I will show you one. So these are basically neutral dice you can get during the turns, and they don't count as your color, so you could basically use both of these actions yourself. Of course, this would have to be at least a 3, but yeah. And these are the basic actions on the board. So these get you points. What else gets you point is you get these 2 tickets, sort of like ticket to ride in the beginning. So here's an example of 2. There's Karachi, Annecy, Alexandria and Kashgar here. And the numbers down here mean that if I manage to hold one of these cities at the end, I would get 1 point. If I hold 2 different cities, I get 3, and 3 different is 6, and 4 different is 10 points. So I could maybe get 22 points total, because first you can check out if I have Alexandria and Kashgar, I get 5. And if I had Karachi and Annecy, I would get 7. So that's 12 points. Plus I had 4 different cities, so that's 10 more. So that would be 22 points total. That's quite a lot. And also you get points from the contracts. And down here is your own board. And you put your completed contracts here, face down. And in the end, the player who has completed the most contracts gets 7 points. And also, if you put all of your outposts on the table, so if you put 8 of them, you get 5 points. And if you manage to get all 9 on the table, you will get 10 points. And you put the outpost on the table basically by traveling to a city. And you usually have to stop in the city to be able to do it. So getting all of them requires you to use multiple special actions and stuff like that. And the traveling is very expensive. Even 3 spaces is 12 money, plus the extra costs that many of the routes have, such as 4 camels or 2 camels, 4 camels, and up here 5 money, and down here even 10 money, 15 money. So traveling is very expensive. So all these are the ways you get points. Now the main attraction of the game, I think, in many cases is these characters. There's very cool powers here. For example, we have Marco Polo, and this exclamation mark means that at the beginning of your turn do this. So this means that at the beginning of each of your turns, during the rounds I mean, you get 1 white die. This is basically 1 extra die for you, and it isn't your color, so you can actually use some spots twice maybe. And also you get 1 free contract from the top of the deck. Of course these are the other way around, so you wouldn't know what you're getting, but you get 1 for free every turn. Okay, let's check another one. This is a cool one too. Johannes Caprini. So you can basically, I think this is the one that you can put your outposts even if you don't stop there. No, sorry, actually this is the, sorry, this one. So this means that you can travel from an outpost to another. So down here you can see, up here you can see there's an oasis here. So let's say I'm moving 3 spots. I could move here and then skip to, let's say, this oasis as my second movement, and as my third movement I'm in Beijing, and I get to put my outpost, get 10 points, and all this in my first action of the game, for example. And then there are other ones. This is cool. This is the one that lets you put the outposts even if you move through a city, but it gets 2 more, so it's harder to do it. But you get 10 points if you manage, 10 more points if you manage to put all 11. And then there's at least one, this guy doesn't actually roll the dice, he just uses whatever number he wants in any spot when he uses a die. So that's cool. And all these are very powerful, but you have to really exploit them, and it always feels like your opponents have the better abilities. But I think they are mostly balanced in the game. And another thing about the actions is that, let's say someone had already taken this action here. If I now want to take this action, I would, for example, put a 2 here, or let's say here, and I want 2 spices. I would now have to pay 2 money because the space is already taken and my die is a value of 2. So if I had a 6 here, I would get the 4 spices, but I would have to pay 6 gold because the space was already taken. So that's what really can hamper your plans. But all in all, that's pretty much it. The other special ability cool thing here are the smaller cities. And once you get your outpost here, let's say here, now you have this ability. Again, exclamation mark. So at the beginning of each of your rounds, you get 5 gold for free. So every turn. Or up here, 3 camels, 2 resources of your choice. So as you can see, you can really get this engine going, where you're just getting things and push left and right and your special ability and everything. But in the end, you just count up your points from what you gathered during the game, plus these tickets and the Beijing. If you have a post here, you get these points, depending on who got here first. And if you are here, you can actually change your resources to points in a 2-to-1 basis. Otherwise, the resources are worthless in the end. And also the one that makes the most contracts completed gets 7 points. So that's the game in a quick nutshell. I'm totally sure I didn't cover all of it, but hope you got some idea of how the game works. One more thing I forgot to mention properly is that during your turn you can also use these bonus actions. So, for example, at any point during your turn you can complete 1 contract if you have the necessary things you need. Or you can take 3 coins from here using a die, but it isn't an action, so you can continue your turn. And then you can reroll 1 die by returning 1 camel to the supply, and you can adjust 1 die result by 1 by removing 2 camels. So you could turn a 5 to a 6 by using 2 camels. Or using 3 camels, you can actually get 1 more die from the black die supply here. It's I think it was number of players plus 1. So in a 2-player game, there's 3 die available for every round. So if those are gone, you don't get it. But this just makes it easier so that it isn't really just luck, because you can actually manipulate the dice, reroll them, and get more dice and do other things. So just a quick clarification I forgot to mention. Okay, time for the final thoughts on the Voyages of Marco Polo. I kind of gave it away during my first segment there, but I really love this game. There are a lot of things to like here. For example, it's quite tense again, so you really have to plan your moves, and you can never do everything you would like to do, so you have to choose your battles here and there. And still it's always down to 1 or 2 more silk or gold, and you could do this and that. And the traveling is very fun because you get these cool powers when you travel, but it's also very expensive, so it's very hard and you really need to plan for it to be able to really make it effective. And also the limitation that you only get to place 1 outpost really pushes you to think your moves a lot. And the extra 1 space movements from some of the contracts or the
gold bazaar table are sometimes worth gold, I guess. So very tense and tight game, very very tight. Our games have been pretty close in scores also, but still it's great. It's what all that, and it still manages to be quick, and that's another plus, because I don't mind long games at all, but if I can get the feeling of playing like say Terra Mystica in 45 minutes like this does, it's just mind blowing. It's so I can't explain it, because there's only 5 rounds, so you get 5 rounds to do things, and it's, for example, if you use the 3 dice on the gold, that's over half of your dice for 1 round. So that's a big investment. Of course, you can get more dice, the black dice with the camels and stuff like that, so you can maybe extend your turn a bit, and there are these bonus actions and bonus moves, and you can really combo these contracts and all together, but still it's extremely quick, even though it always feels like you are really APing everything and thinking things through. But every time you check at the clock, and it's under an hour for a 2-player game, which is just amazing. Oh, and then it also feels very satisfying, even though it's tight and it's very expensive to travel and everything is kind of hard to do, but all of the things really feel satisfying when you do them. So, for example, if you travel, it's very expensive, but if you get to the small city, you now have like a constant income of 5 money or 3 camels every turn. At the beginning of every turn for the rest of the game you get that, and it's so cool to start the round with I get 3 camels, 5 money, 3 points and stuff like this. And the bigger cities give you the outposts and the die ability that you can convert money or something to points or whatever it is, and you can really plan your moves when you see the board. I actually and then there's the variability, and that was something I actually forgot to like mention during the gameplay section, because there's an immense variability here, because you can always shuffle there's like 50 cards almost of the tickets, so they are always the different ones, and you actually get to draw 4 and pick 2 of them, so there you have some control there too. And then all of the city bonus tiles, the first one to enter, there are like 10 of those, so 3-4 extra, and their placement is always random, so that's another variability. Then the small city bonuses are also randomized, and they are always at the different parts of the table, and when you always usually start in Venezia, it really changes the game if the thing you used last time is now at the other side of the world. And then the cards, the big city cards, there's like 30-40 of those, an insane amount, and you only use like 1/4 of them during a game, so you will never see a same combination of cards if you play it during the rest of your life. And all these things, and then the characters and their powers and the combination of characters in the game and the number of players, everything just it's immensely replayable, and you can really try to plan for the in the beginning, or even if when you know the game well, you can really start your planning when you see the table set up. You see like, if I go there first, I get this ability, and then I can try to get that city, and I can start comboing these camels to points or whatever it is. There's so many possibilities. You can do almost anything, and you can focus on the contracts, do a lot of them, and only a little bit of traveling, or you can travel a lot and only do little contracts, and all of those can win you the game if done efficiently enough. And of course you have to think, if is your character good for one of those things. If your character is good for one of those things, you probably should focus more on that, because the abilities of the characters are just insanely good. And again, the special powers of the characters are cool, and you get the special powers from the small cities as well. They feel like special powers because you get things at the beginning of your turn, and I just love that plentifulness of getting all these things at the start of your turn, and that's like the best part. So it escalates, the game escalates to this like machine that just keep running and running and running, and suddenly it's over, and it's, whoa, what happened? And you want to play it again immediately and try a different strategy this time. And all of the characters are cool to play, and it's just so fun. That's just when you see it first time. I watched some videos before I bought it, and I was like, that looks interesting, and I really like the designer, so I thought that maybe there's something there, but I wasn't really that like insanely drawn into it by watching a video. But when I got it, we played it like 6-7 times in 2-3 first days, so that was just a great game. So what else can I say? If you like at all Eurogames or this tight resource management or special powers, anything, you just need to get this game. It's just amazing. The character powers are just weirdly powerful, and when you see them for the first time, you feel like all of them are broken, but that's just the point. They are all broken, so they are balanced, I think, mostly. And the player count, I think this works great in all player counts, although I haven't played 4-player, I've played 2 and 3. In a 2 and 3 player game there are these dummy dice which go to the can't favor and the take 5 gold spots to like make them less appealing. But there's no other changes in the 2 or 3 player game. And I guess the 4-player game might be a bit more tighter even, because there's so much going on with 4 players. So I haven't tried it, but I guess it would be a bit tighter even. But I really like the 2-player game. Most of my games plays have been 2-player, and that's just a brilliant game for me, because I don't really like the extremely cutthroat competition necessarily. So the 2-player game, I guess, is great in that sense also, because it's a little bit more forgiving, but not by much, because the guy that gets to travel first is usually just, oh no, you did it before me, and it gets even more expensive for the other guy. But the cool part is, again, you can't block someone totally, but you can make it so expensive that they don't really want to do the thing or stuff like that, so that's a plus too. So there's kind of a conflict, but not so direct. But yeah, that's been a quick rant, long rant, I guess, sorry. And I guess what negative things you could say, I guess you could say that there's the lack of the dice, because mostly the bigger dice are better. Not in all cases, because especially with more players, you could actually, if you want to move 3, for example, you can use 2 3s, and you only pay 3 if someone else has taken the spot before you, so you only pay 3 extra. But if you had 2 6s, now you would have to pay 6 even though you moved less. So all these things are balancing it a bit, but I guess the bigger dice are usually better. But the camels are very good. They are pretty easy to get, quite a lot of them, and if you roll low you actually get compensation. I actually forgot to mention that. So if you roll less than 15 you get the amount, the difference to 15 in camels or gold. So that's one thing. If you roll 5 once you can get 10 camels and stuff like that. So even that balances it out, and you can manipulate the dice with the camels, so you can re-roll them, add or decrease them, or you can even get the extra dice, the black dice, from the center board once a turn. So all these things I think mitigate the luck factor, but I can see that someone would have a problem with that. And I have seen one game where, another 3-player game, there was just a few rounds that the one of the players really was struggling. But yeah, it was his first game, so I think there could have maybe been better decisions or something, so I don't feel it's luck game, but I guess that could be a problem for some. But all in all, I can't find anything else bad here or anything negative. I know it's not for everyone, so that's obvious. Or not all games are, or any games are for everyone. But I hope you got the idea, and hope you got some of my enthusiasm of the game, and hope you understood my quick rant here. But I just love this game. So if you can find it, go buy it already. The Voyages of Marco Polo. See you.